Alright y'all, this is the Chicken coming to you live here on a really windy early October afternoon. Here it's the 2nd, I believe. Anyways, let's start, and I'm going to show you how to restore an abandoned farm and the process I went through to turn my farm from literally a scrapyard to something that's at least livable. Alright, so firstly we need to restore the house. The house is going to be where that's where you're going to want to focus your stuff on. So firstly, you're going to want to go in your house, and the first thing you need to do, so you just bought the house, before you move in, you shouldn't move in the day you close, because, well, I don't really think that's a good idea, especially if it needs a lot of help with it. You need to go in and you need to clean it out. If there's a lot of extremely dangerous chemicals in there, well, then wear a mask. But if you don't really feel comfortable, you can get a professional to come and clean out your house, and you also need to make sure it's washed down. Now, if your home is really abandoned, like it hasn't been used for over 20 years, you might want to get new equipment. So what I'm talking about is sinks, new stuff that you put in your bathroom and stuff like that. You need new materials that you're going to be using on your day-to-day life, because, well, you can't really be using something that's well over 30 or 40 years old, because imagine the stuff that's on that. Alright, so before you move on to anything else, you need to make sure you have your backyard all set and ready, because if you're gonna have stuff like dogs or chickens or something like that, as soon as you get there, I bet you probably have dogs or a cat. You want an area for them to go outside in, so you need to do the backyard. The backyard is usually a 2 to 4 week long process. During the first day or two, you'll probably get everything mowed down, but if it's really awful, like to the point where you have like this type of weeds right here, these are all grapevines. But let's just say you have all these weeds just condensed in your backyard, it might take a little bit longer. Maybe up to 3 or 4 days to get that all mowed down, and then you need to mow your lawn. Now what you might want to do, this is optional, but you can put in like a fence or something like that, and then once the fence is in, then you should count yourself done with that. Most fences, to at least cover up a normal backyard, probably going to take me about a week or two, so yeah. It's also a little bit of money, so yeah, be sure that you're spending your money wisely. Alright, so at this point it should be safe to move there, but there are some minor things you need to change potentially before you move. These things include like trimming trees, because, well, imagine you just have a tree branch just leaning over your house at just a 30-mile-per-hour wind gust can just knock right onto your house, and if it's an abandoned farmhouse, well, I'm pretty sure it won't survive that. So you need to make sure that's all cleaned out. If you don't know how to do that, get someone to come and help you with that. And make sure that's all done. And make sure everything that's basically a threat to your house or area around your house is all done. So if you have a branch that's about to hit your house, well, you should get that down as soon as possible, because your house is about to become history if that happens. And also make sure you have some areas, you have all your areas that you need planned out, basically, because, well, make sure you have everything done so that way the area that you want to stay in is livable, at the very least. Alright, so if your farm has any abandoned buildings, it's up to you to decide whether you want to keep them or not. If you say yes, then you're probably going to need to do a lot of, cleaning up. But if you say no, you're just going to tear it down. If the building was last used not terribly long ago, there shouldn't be too much cleaning up to do, or at least restoration, but there could be tons of restoration done. And, well, sometimes abandoned farms don't come with any buildings. I bet you there's at least 3 or 4 buildings buried somewhere on this farm. There's literally like a bunch of stuff buried, and that's not for just my farm, it's for like a lot of people's farms too, because your farm actually could have something. If you buy an abandoned farm, there's a chance that there's like a whole garage just buried under your house, and you have absolutely no idea of it. So yeah, you might also want to check satellite, but make sure you know what to do with your buildings before you do anything big, because, well, if you want buildings, well, if you have an already established building, well, you might want to use that. But if the building requires a lot more work than the house was, then there's a chance that you might just want to tear it down. It's up to you. And finally, now it's time to restore fields. So if you have a whole bunch of fields that just need to be restored and stuff like that, well, it's time to get working. The best way you could do this is to mow down fields that need to be mowed down, but if you can't get there with a mower, you might need to get like professional gear on and actually start to cut down these plants, or you could just get someone to do it, because, well, not every person knows how to cut down an entire field, but you should at least. And then once that's all done, now it's officially time. Now you can say that you've officially made it restored to a level. Now to fully restore your farm, you need to know how to actually open a farm. So to make sure it's fully restored, you need to check the video out on the left side. That's where I teach you how to make a farm. Now on the right side, if you want to learn more about farm stands, so if you want to set up like your very own farm stand, on the right, you have a video just like that. And both of them, I'd recommend you watch all the way to the end, binge as many videos as possible, and yeah, I'll catch you in the next one.